Hey everyone, welcome back to K-Korner, the channel where we dive into the wild world of entitled people and their unbelievable stories. Hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's go. This is actually something that happened to me over 20 years ago, but for some reason it just popped into my head, and since it fits here, well, here we are. When my, now, ex-husband was stationed at an Air Force base along the Gulf Coast, I worked in the layaway customer service catalog order gift wrapping department at the back of the base exchange BX, there and had already been there for over a year. I was very well liked by both my coworkers and supervisors. Usually at this department, it's just kind of like walking in and getting what you need, as it's usually not a super busy department. However, beginning not long after Halloween and on into the new year, it got horribly busy, and at that point, it was required everyone pull a number from the ticket dispenser at the entryway to the department. Once the holiday season began, this was absolutely a hard, fast rule, no matter what. One weekend day, we were wall-to-wall people, and from the moment we opened the registers, we were busy. It got so bad we had to call a couple people over from other departments for the sole purpose of ringing through layaways so a couple people in our department could do nothing but gift wrap and grab layaways from the back that were being paid in full. I was at the register that was doing payments only on layaways. Not even PIFs, just payments. I'm waiting on a customer when I happen to glance up and see a woman walk through the entryway and come straight to my register. No number grabbed, nothing. Just walked up straight to me and interrupted me with the customer I was currently assisting. Her, you need to help me immediately. I'm in a rush and can't wait very long. Me, ma'am. Well, I can appreciate that. Everyone here is somewhere else they'd like to be. If you just grab a numbered ticket there. Her, interrupting me. I don't have time for that. You need to just assist me now. At this point, I'd finished up with the customer I was helping and turned to click on the now being served, which was a number I called out, number 75. Next customer, 75, please. Her, now turning purple, she's so mad. Excuse me. You need to help me now. Do you know who my husband is? Me. Unless he's number 75, it really doesn't matter. As if this isn't enough of a Mick drop, this is where it gets really good. She's now apoplectic and demands to speak with my manager. Fair enough, okay? Let's go get her from the back where she's pulling PIF layaways and counting cash to be deposited in the main safe because our registers are getting full. Me to supervisor, I'm paraphrasing because it's been so long ago. Mary, this customer walked in, didn't take a number, came right to my register, and demanded I take care of her ahead of a couple dozen customers who patiently waited. I asked her to pull a number, but she refused and then asked me if I knew who her husband was. I should tell you I told her unless he was a 70. 5, it didn't really matter. Mary comes out to the registers and walks up to the woman and says, Ma'am, I'm this employee's supervisor, and she tells me you'd like to talk to me? Entitled, customer. Yes, this. My supervisor held her hand up and cut off the woman and says, Ma'am, I'd love to help you right this second, but as you can see, we're really busy. If you could just pull a number, I'll speak with you when it's your turn. At that, Mary turned around and walked back to the back and pulled PIF layaways. I wish I could describe the range of emotions that this customer experienced before she finally turned on her heel and left in a huge huff. Then, to add insult to injury, just as the woman was departing, another customer, I have no idea who, said loud enough for the room to hear, Get back to us when your husband is more than a lieutenant. Best customer service day ever. For a small bit of context, we live in the U.S., so we drive on the right side of the road and the passenger side is the right side of the car. My local grocery store is located in a small shopping center directly off one of the main roads that pass through my town. Behind the shopping center is a fence cutting it off from a side road, and across that road is a playground and field area for soccer and other such sports. Surrounding this park and behind it are blocks worth of houses. Because of this, both the park side of the road and the shopping center side have parking spaces, and there are 2 intentional holes in the fence, made by shopping centers so people from the community can pass through the fence to reach the shop. The road is also wide enough to have 1 lane of traffic each way between the parked cars. On to the story. My family lives about 3 short blocks behind the shopping center, so instead of going around the long way and parking in the shopping center parking lot, my husband and I regularly park along the fence in one of the marked parking spots and walking through the fence to shop at the grocery store. On this day, we had someone following behind us as we went to park, right? Turn into the spot. My husband, who was driving, I was in the passenger seat, turned on the blinker, found a spot, and went to make the right turn into it. The woman driving behind us thought it was a brilliant idea to keep going straight to go around us, on the passenger side. So as you can expect, she hits the passenger side right where the door's hinge is located and then scrapes along the side to the front. My husband and I are shocked, but pull up a bit further to a spot about 2 or 3 down, park and get out of the car to inspect the damage and find out what happened. I had trouble opening my door, but after a small bit of force, managed to get it open. Damage wasn't too bad, but we were definitely shook. Then before we had a chance to react, the woman charged at us, screaming that we're irresponsible and hit her. Luckily, we had a witness that was loading up her own car with groceries, and she got between us and berated the woman for screaming at us and told her what she did was illegal and she had hit us. The woman stood her ground and demanded we pay for the damage to her car as I was going straight and you hit me. I called the cops to take a report, and my husband and her exchanged insurance information, which she gave us problems with too, as at first she claimed she didn't have a phone with her and then all of a sudden had one when the cops came. The cop taking both sides of our story tried very hard to explain to her what she did wrong. He got her to agree that it's a 1-lane road. He got her to agree that we were making the right into the parking spot. When he tried to explain that she can't go around someone on a 1-lane road making a right, she kept telling him that she had the right because she was going straight and we were turning, and then demanded we pay her for damages. This went on for almost an hour until the cop pinched his nose like he was getting a headache and gave up, telling her to take it up with the insurance company. Unfortunately, as it's still recent, I don't have a follow-up to this. But you'd think if even a cop is telling you that you're wrong and trying to explain it to you like you're a child, you'd at least wonder if maybe you're wrong. Sorry if this story isn't as satisfying as others, but wanted to share my recent experience with a wild, entitled person. Hope everyone has a wonderful, entitled person-free day. I don't know if I would call what he does bullying or not, but all I know is that he does not like me. I work at a university that has an extensive shuttle system around the campus and surrounding city, and as part of my commute, I take one of the many shuttles to the building I work in. There's an app that tracks the shuttle location and shows the stop locations too. Anyway, one day I was approaching the bus stop where I saw one of the shuttles sitting there, parked. The drivers often take 5-10-minute breaks at particular stops along their route, and when I looked at the app, it said the bus wasn't supposed to reach its next destination a few blocks away for another 10 minutes, so I figured I would have time to get to the crosswalk and cross the street to get to the shuttle. When I did and got on the bus, the driver, let's call him George, who is one of these fake manly Sam Elliott wannabes, scoffed and said to me, "You could have just cut across the street, kid. There was nobody coming." I told him that even if nobody was in the street, I wasn't going to jaywalk because it's dangerous. Common sense, right? George didn't think so. He laughed and warned me to not think I could take my sweet time catching up to the shuttle because he had a schedule to keep and was told to not waste his time. I asked him when he was planning to depart because I was going off what the app said, but he said it didn't matter because he could have been leaving at any minute and that I was lucky he let me off. At the stop he was scheduled to be at. At that time, I didn't want to continue the stupid argument, so I just said I'm not jaywalking and took a seat. We ended up sitting at the stop for another 5 minutes before he left, so why tell me to do something that could have gotten me hurt? The next day I arrive at the same crosswalk, same time. There's George sitting parked in the shuttle across the street, waiting. He sees me and gets this weird smirk on his face. Despite the app saying he wasn't going to arrive to the next stop, 2 blocks away, for 10 minutes, he all of a sudden grabs the steering wheel and turns on his blinker, despite not being able to go until I crossed the street because he was at a red light. I stepped into the shuttle and he says what would have happened if I had drove off just now. I look at him bewildered and just go, I would have waited for another shuttle, before sitting down. He scoffs again and takes off immediately, making it to the next stop and sitting there for his break instead. The third interaction we had, he was ready to peel off, but the red light gave me the time it took to get across the street and approach the bus doors. He didn't even look at me when I got on, telling me rudely to sit down. I barely had a chance to do so before he started moving the shuttle. This time, I plainly asked him what his issue was with me, since if I offended him in some way, I don't know what I did, and to that he said, "You waste so much of my time at the crosswalk, kid, you could just cross the street." I was genuinely confused. and asked him if the bus schedule needs to be updated if he needs to leave that stop so urgently. He replied, "That's not the point. If I'm waiting, you hurry up, even if I'm not waiting for you." At this point, I realized I was arguing with someone who got some kind of power trip off of driving a shuttle. I told him that you should never encourage someone to break the law to catch a bus, and he just didn't answer. After that exchange, every time he sees me approaching the crosswalk to the stop, he suddenly ends his brake and drives away from the light the minute the light turns green. If there are other people at the stop with me, he'll scowl at me when I get on and act really put upon when other people thank him once he reaches their stop. It's so stupid. I've tried to memorize which bus numbers he drives, but with the university shuffling around employees due to various layoffs and funding issues, he's been surprising me at other stops. Sometimes he'll see me at a stop waiting and go or stop a couple of bus lengths away from the stop to make me jog to the shuttle, or will pretend to not see me at the stop if I'm alone and drive right past, unless I wave him down. I have reported him to the university, but get no response other than they're looking into it. I've also started using other lines and stops than the ones he typically stops at, but like I said, he surprises me sometimes. My job is too far to walk from the bus stops. My commute usually takes me, so unless I feel like running, the shuttles are the most viable option. Regardless of my options, I shouldn't feel victimized for wanting to ride a bus. It's just weird. So here's the lowdown. I'm cruising down the road doing the dad thing, My daughter is wrapping up her tennis practice, and the missus is busy saving lives as an ear doc. Meanwhile, I'm juggling freelance design gigs while also being the official stay-at-home dude. So I'm cruising along, jamming to some tunes, thinking I'll make it in time when I hit this red light. No biggie, right? Except there's this car in front of me, and there's a woman inside yapping away on her phone like it's the last conversation she'll ever have. The light turns green, and I'm ready to roll, but guess what? Miss Chatty Cathy up there doesn't move an inch. I give it a polite honk, like a friendly reminder that, hey, the light's green, let's get this show on the road. But does she butt? Not a chance. Another honk, and still nada. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's having a rough day or something. So I let out a longer honk, maybe not so polite this time. And wouldn't you know it, she finally cracks open her window. I lean out and shout, "Hey, you mind moving?" "I'm late to pick up my kid," her response. She shoots me this look that could freeze a volcano and proceeds to insult me like it's an Olympic sport. Wait, you stupid a-hole. The world isn't gonna end. Let me finish my call for F's sake. Now, I'm no saint, so yeah, I shot back a few choice words of my own. Hey, witch, watch your mouth and be polite. Finish your goddamn call after you move. I'm late and it's effing green light. Next thing I know, this lady goes from 0 to 100 real quick. She throws her car in reverse and rams into my bumper. What the hell? She storms out of her car, and let me tell you, she's not holding back on the aggression. I'm thinking, great, just what I need on a day like today. Now, I'm not one to back down from a confrontation, but this lady's throwing insults around like confetti at a parade. If you hear, and damn you there, it was a mess. I'm trying to reason with her. Come on, I just need to pick up my daughter, and I'm running late. Can we dial down the drama? But she's having none of it. She actually has the audacity to say, I don't give a flying F about your bratty daughter. I demand an apology. She couldn't care less about my kid. Insult her, and she demands an apology. Yeah, right? So here's the thing. I'm a firm believer in the you started it rule. She flung the first verbal punches, so I'm not about to apologize for defending myself. I tell her that straight up, and boy, does she turn even redder than her bright red car. Now, she's getting so worked up that she's practically ready to throw fists. At this point, I'm thinking, time to take evasive action, and I roll up my window like a bunker closing up during a war movie. She's still fuming, pounding on the glass like she's trying to break a world record. I'm praying my window holds up, because I've got no intention of having to explain a shattered window to my wife. Then she starts yelling about how she's going to get me arrested, like she's some kind of traffic enforcer turned vigilante. While she's busy grabbing something from her car that looks suspiciously like a crowbar, I make my move. I throw my old truck into reverse, and I start pushing her. I nudged her car, giving it a little kiss from behind. A deep, unmistakable scratch blossoms on her bright red car. I've got a pickup truck, the big old one, so she's not exactly driving a tank either. She's still screaming, flailing her arms around like a windmill caught in a tornado, and then it happens. Her car's back bumper meets my front, and I can practically feel the paint scratching away. Stop it, you stupid F. You're breaking my car. Stop. But you know what? I don't care. In the heat of the moment, I stick my hand out the window and give her the biggest middle finger you've ever seen. Now, I'm no saint, and I'm not exactly proud of that move, but sometimes you gotta send a message, right? She's left standing there, mouth agape, looking like she just met a unicorn or something. I'm not sure if it was the middle finger or the fact that I actually dared to touch her precious car that left her speechless. With a triumphant grin on my face, I put my truck back in drive, and as I pass her by, I can't resist shouting, "Tell your car I said hi! I know, I'm not the most mature move, but man, it felt good in the moment." With a triumphant grin on my face, I put my truck back in drive and head to my daughter's tennis practice, all that adrenaline pumping through my veins. As I finally pull into the parking lot, I see my kid standing there, looking all adorable in her tennis gear, and I can't help but feel a little guilty for the delay. I grab my phone, and wouldn't you know it, just as I'm about to check the time, my wife calls in. She's angry, I can tell from the moment she starts talking. She's like, "Where are you? You were supposed to pick up our daughter ages ago." I take a deep breath, ready to explain the whole crazy ordeal, but then I remember something. I chuckle and tell her, "Hey, don't get too mad just yet. Check out Reddit in a couple of hours. You'll understand what happened." And that's how my day turned from a mundane trip to pick up my kid into a full-blown road showdown that ended up on Reddit. Life's full of surprises, my friends, and sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches, or in this case, the crazy lady in her bright red car. Enjoying the stories yet? If you do, please subscribe, like, and comment. Work at a company where some people, me, come in early to do prep work and janitorial staff are cleaning prepping for the day. It's a huge place, and this particular part of the company is empty except for me and a single custodian. There is a school crossing close enough that people who do it are parking in our lot and sit inside their cars until they see kids coming. A few weeks ago, our custodian, Cindy, is putting things in the trash outside and sees the new crossing guard, Brenda, who is usually with her husband but was by herself. Cindy tells Brenda that if there's an emergency or something, because it's dark in the morning, back alley, Brenda may be by herself. Ring the delivery doorbell, and Cindy would probably hear it. Brenda says, "Great, thanks." It should be noted that while I'm in the same section as Cindy in my catacomb office area, I don't hear the bell ring. Start next day, Brenda brings the doorbell. Because Cindy is busy working, doesn't hear it right away because she is far enough away in the big company, Brenda rings the bell multiple times. Cindy is moving around and finally heard it, then starts running to back door to let Brenda in, who has to use the bathroom. Cindy is frustrated because she thought it wasn't a class emergency, but relents out of human kindness and says, "Sure, use the bathroom." It should be noted that Brenda is a known person in the area for being kind of trashy by previous clueless Karen-type actions she's taken in the community, among other things. Because people know who she is, they also know she lives 2 blocks from where she's crossing at, and she drives. So it's literally like a 3-minute drive here, a 30-minute crossing window, and a 3-minute drive home. The next morning, Cindy is cleaning by a window, but far enough away from the delivery area, and is jolted from a bang on the tall windows to see Brenda standing on her toes, pounding on the glass, looking in and screaming she needs to use the bathroom. Cindy is frustrated, but motions to the back and lets her in. Cindy is embarrassed, frustrated, flustered, and tells Brenda sorry she's cleaning and can't always hear the bell. Where's she at? Hint, hint. Brenda is annoyed, said she was about to pee her pants, had a big coffee, and goes to the bathroom. Doesn't even say thank you. Now, there's a pattern. So for the next week, Brenda rings the bell every morning to use the bathroom. And not just one ring. Several rings, followed by a 10-15 second pause, and several more if Cindy isn't fast enough. It's come to the point Cindy is really frustrated because she's actually doing a job and is usually not within 15-30 seconds of the door, so has to hustle to get there to let Brenda in. And at this point, Cindy already knows who Brenda is, where she lives, and is wondering why she just doesn't use the bathroom at her house before she leaves. finding it hard to believe Brenda has some pressing medical issues she can't go without 30 minutes from a toilet to do the single job she's employed at. Monday comes and Cindy tells me all what's been going on. Cindy is a hardworking, honest person and is frustrated that her kindness was taken advantage of. She says she doesn't want to answer the bell anymore. What should she do? I told her we're not obligated to let Brenda use the bathroom. She's obviously abused an emergency tool available for her, and we'd probably get in trouble for letting non-employees in on a daily basis, despite the minimal security risk. I offered to go and talk to Brenda. Cindy felt bad and asked me not to, but said she just wasn't going to answer the door anymore and just pretend she couldn't hear her, and maybe she'd finally get the hint. Apparently the bell rang several times in succession, and Cindy heard it, but the call went unanswered. Later in the day, as school let out, Brenda decided to make up for lost time and started ringing the bell to be let in, while we're open and full of employees. A third employee close to the door, Alice, who is friendly with Cindy and has heard the whole story at this point, opens the door and tells Brenda this isn't her personal toilet. She's not to ring the bell anymore, and she needs to figure out her own bathroom solution. The next morning, Cindy is outside taking out the trash, and Brenda awkwardly tells Cindy that Alice yelled at her. Cindy says, "Yeah, I heard that," and pauses to stare at Brenda to see if there's anything else Brenda was planning to add to the conversation, and upon seeing nothing but an awkwardly stare back, goes back inside to continue her job. It's been 2 days, and Brenda hasn't ring the bell since. This particular story has just come to a head today, largely thanks to the persistently predictable actions of this story's antagonist, who we'll call Kevin. Around a year ago, I moved into a new apartment, not in a great part of the city, but could be considered bang average. When I first moved in, I was assured everything would be rosy, and I'd be left to my own devices. Enter Kevin. Kevin is a total jerk. He has shared custody of his son, which is frankly an oversight of the legal system, but hey, and he absolutely loves to get plastered and scream at the kid, either via phone or in person. The kid is around 13, I think, and his name's not totally important, mainly because the kid's got enough grief. This went on for about 2-3 months, so I tried befriending Kevin, mostly because I'm an idiot, but also to find out just what his issue was, because having headphones in on max volume listening to heavy metal and still being able to hear him screaming was becoming an issue. I put up with it for a bit, mentioning it in passing to who I guess is my building manager. He's really just a guy that's lived there for years and is mates with the landlord, and he's retired, so can't really blame him for not wanting to get involved. He did mention that Kevin had lived here for about 5 years and had numerous complaints, including the previous tenant, who'd moved out because she'd had enough of his nonsense. He also mentioned that Kevin had shared custody because his ex was also a bit of a loser. Like seriously, that poor kid. But as such meant an absolute load of social workers were involved, even if they clearly weren't very good at their jobs. Anyways, one day Kevin was screaming at the top of his lungs again and again. Because I'm an idiot, I poked the ceiling with a broom. Just a little tap to say, "Hey friend, just a quick polite note to tell you that the whole neighborhood can hear you," which was greeted by 5 thuds that sounded like he was about to bust clean through the ceiling. This naturally got me angry, so I knocked on his door and he simply opened it and told me to get lost. Fair enough, I thought, as I frankly had better stuff to do, so I went for a walk. Upon return, Kevin is putting his bins out and starts to give me grief, which I returned in kind, causing him to square up to me and threaten to end me. I held my ground and he started going on about respect and stuff. Oh no, really, and told me he held all the cards and there was nothing I could do, but I simply said if that's how you want to be, then that's how it is, and left him to have his little fit outside. First call was to the police, who took it surprisingly seriously. They came out within an hour, and we sat in the Panda car and discussed all of Kevin's transgressions, a lot of which I'd recorded, mainly to WhatsApp to my friends like, "Hey, Kevin is at it again." They took a statement, said there was likely nothing they could do, but they might investigate Kevin on the count of the child abuse and the social worker in place. I then asked them if evidence would help, and they replied it'd save them a lot of time if I could get some, but would need to be recent. Last 3 months, okay. Sure, they say, but 3 months is a long time, and he might have changed. No, Mr. Policeman Officer, I mean, covering the last 3 months. Excited he was, to say the least. So they brought me to the station to give a statement and to copy all the evidence off my phone. At this point, big shout-out old phones and removable SD cards, as I really didn't want to explain my meme collection. They spent the next 2, maybe 3 months investigating Kevin, as there's a lot of banging to be heard in the videos. A few months go by and I'm seeing a lot of open immediately. Do not ignore typed letters arriving in Kevin's name, which I think might be off the social workers, but not sure. I do feel particularly bad about this bit. As being a violently abusive alcoholic, he's not quite smart enough to realize it's me that's making his life suck, because the social are on him like a skid mark on a toilet, and he's just screaming at his kid even more because he thinks the kid has grassed him up. Eventually, the police have everything in place and serve him with some sort of behavioral order or something like that, which frankly wasn't a whole lot, but that was more an aperitif for the meal the social were about to make. Yesterday, armed with a bunch of evidence, a bunch of people, 2 uniformed officers and my landlord, they arrived at his flat. Partly because that's the only time my landlord was free, and probably partly because Saturday pay for cops and social workers must be fairly decent. Also partly because he has his kid on weekends. Actually, probably the main reason, now that I think about it. Since Kevin has the kind of voice that makes Brian Bless sound like a cross between a mime and a church mouse, they can hear everything immediately. They go up into the tight hallways, which is kind of funny because they're all trying to social distance. So it kind of looks like they're queuing up to give Kevin a bollocking, in true British fashion. It ended with Kevin being led away in cuffs because of course he fought back. The guy's a jerk. It's totally in his nature. They've also heard some of the Dolby surround phone conversations and have now charged him with a bunch of stuff I frankly don't understand, but has had, and will have several knock-on effects. Firstly, no more contact with his kid, a minor victory since his mom is a bit of a loser herself, but they're under a microscope now, so maybe that'll help. Secondly, my landlord was especially not chill about being contacted by both me and the police regarding Kevin. So is using one of the charges or something to speed up the eviction process. This is annoyingly still going to take about 2 weeks, but I'm sure I'll live, meaning it's not the current 6-month COVID guideline. Thirdly, he's going to have to go in tomorrow and tell his boss that he's going to need multiple dates off in the possible near future for court dates, etc. Tough break in this economy. That's likely going to cost too. Especially since I've seen a bunch of letters from the Provident arriving for him. For those outside the UK, the Provident is kind of like the OG version of those short-term loans with insane interest rates. All this could have been avoided had Kevin just not been, well, a jerk. For context, I work at a theme park which is opening up a new attraction area at the end of May. Employees and family get to experience prior to the public opening. This was the day I went with my mom. My husband and kid were meeting us later. My mom and I are in line to her favorite ride. We were telling each other how excited we were to experience the new area of the park. For context, the tickets give you a few hours exploring this area at a designated time, but you can enjoy the park earlier in the day. Well, an entitled mom and her demonic brat hear us. "You are getting into the new attraction?" Karen asks us. Yes. "I want to go to, Mommy." He repeats this mantra several times in a high-pitched voice dripping with entitlement. Kid looked to be 10. I tell him, it is only for the employees. "You will take my baby to it? That is final?" "Ma'am, it is for employees and their families. Only please leave us alone." Mom tells her, "How dare you use that tone with me, you old hag?" Karen yells at Mom, and then her son gets into a full tantrum mode and keeps shouting, "Make them take me, Mommy." I want to go too. I then tell Karen, "Do not talk to my mother like that." She goes into a full Karen mode. "You will do as I say, or I will complain about the way you're treating us to your manager. You do not know my name or where I work with. Leave us alone. How rude you are. Your mother raised a witch." Mom sighs and tells her, "I have had enough of your rudeness." At this point, we try to just leave the line. My purse was attached to my left shoulder, resting at my right hip. Karen then grabs my purse and tries to snag it away. I stopped and demanded she let go. We started a tug of war with my purse as she yells and screams for me to give her the tickets for the new attraction. Someone called an employee over from the line. "What is going on?" the employee asked. Karen, of course, rushes to be the first to talk. This witch stole my purse and the tickets of my son and I for the new attraction. That is not true. She's the one trying to steal my purse. The kid goes back to his mantra. "I want to go to the new attraction." Mommy make them take me. Mom tells the employee my daughter is telling the truth. While Karen is still yelling, "Give me my purse," the employee then informs us that they called security and that they will deal with this. Because of that witch, we were taken basically to an area to get maps, information, etc. It was not just a security officer, but a law enforcement officer dealing with this issue. Karen does not seem so confident now. She just keeps demanding my purse. The security took my purse. Her brat just kept whining and crying like an entitled brat, demanding to go to the new attraction. We were in a small room, and cop opens the purse. I thankfully had my ID for work and my driver's license in my purse. I also opened the pin on my cell phone and showed him my reservation for this new attraction, which proved the purse and tickets were mine. Karen then goes ballistic and tries to attack me while screaming like a rabid-filled animal. Cop reached over and grabbed her shirt, forcing her to stop. Her shirt rips a little, and she gets into an epic meltdown as we all stare at her in disbelief. These people want to assault me. Help. Calm down, ma'am. Nobody is trying to ask. You want to assault me. Help. The officer then says, "Everyone besides Karen, please leave." Security pulled the crying kid out while I picked up my things from the table and left. My mom and I are sent into another room to write a report and to be questioned. I was also interviewed by security about my role in this, if I had any responsibility. It took 2 hours to do all the paperwork and interviews. As for Karen, she had a meltdown like a 2-year-old. She had to be tased several times. She was also arrested and banished from the park. Her kid was with the security guards as he was crying and kept calling for his moment. Finally, he was taken to a nearby police station with his crazy mom.
The following day I worked and the same security guard was checking IDs for employees and told me about what happened.
We ended up being late for our time in the new attraction. We lost 15 minutes thanks to that psycho lady. I have never experienced anything like this before. Her kid acted 3 instead of 10, and Karen herself was just insane. Mom and I had fun, though. But it was really terrifying that people like Karen exist. She was charged with assaulting an officer and some other things. I would rather forget this ever happened. I'm still shocked that a supposedly grown woman can be this entitled. So I've never posted on here before, but I just had to after what this lady at my work did today. I work in janitorial at a factory, and unfortunately this means that people tend to be jerks because they see me as someone below them. Well, I take pride in doing my job well, and my bosses say I'm one of their best. For the last few months, though, some lady, let's call her Jane, at the factory I clean keeps complaining about every little thing to my bosses, whether it be true or not. Well, recently she's been lying to my bosses and saying I don't ever clean the ladies' room, despite the fact that literally anyone could tell that I have, since it'd be disgusting otherwise. I know the factory doesn't allow restroom breaks very often, so I always let the women use the bathroom, even if I'm actively cleaning it to be nice. I mean, who wants to hold their pee for several hours? Well, because Jane complained enough, a new rule was put in place that means I now can't let anyone into the bathroom as I clean it until I've finished. Jane is notorious for overusing her time in the bathroom to skip out on work, so needless to say there have been a few times she started leaving her area to use the bathroom. Given how thoughtful Jane has been about making sure I do my job properly, I've taken to making sure to always be cleaning the ladies' room and the break room whenever she needs it. The first time was the best, so let me share that with you. I came out of the bathroom that I'm cleaning to grab some more of my supplies, only to find Jane there waiting. Jane is frowning like usual. "Hey, could I use the bathroom? I really have to go, and the other bathroom is under maintenance right now." I put on my best fake apologetic smile and shake my head. "I'm sorry, but I can't let anyone into the bathroom until I'm fully finished cleaning it." "I'd say you could wait, but I wouldn't want you to get into trouble for standing around doing nothing." Jane scowled at me. "It won't take long. Can't you just move the sign for now?" Once again, I shake my head as I gather up the supplies I need. No can do. I have a schedule to stick to and can't go against company rules. I wouldn't want anyone to think I'm not doing my job correctly after all. Jane was getting pissed at this point, but I couldn't care less. I pushed open the bathroom room and gave her one more oh-so-apologetic smile before heading in. "I'll try and hurry so you can use it soon, but there's only so much I can do." "Sorry, Jane." Then I went into the bathroom and took the longest time I could to clean it. By the time I came out again, Jane was gone and I couldn't have felt happier. I knew she'd have to wait, who knows how long, until her next bathroom break, and the thought of that makes me grin so much. I still do it whenever I can, and there is absolutely nothing she can do in retaliation, either besides give me the stink eye. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more captivating stories. Share your own experiences, opinions in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay tuned for more epic tales.